Welcome to our first episode.
Hey,
Woo.
thank you so much. Yeah, excited. Finally, we got the chance to do this.
Yeah. So it's very new for both of us to do a podcast where we're both always there, where we're both hosting it. And
Exactly.
we talked about some different formats we can try out. And the first one we're doing today is talking about Varun
Yeah,
um, and
perfect.
his life.
Abs-
And so it's kind of like a different role right now where I'm hosting or interviewing, and he's going to do most of the talking. And there's going to be an episode then when we do it the other way around. Um,
That's right, exactly. So, what do you want to tell the people who are watching the first episode? What can they expect from listening or following this podcast?
it's going to be awesome
Yeah,
because you're awesome. Because I love the way that
you are
we
awesome as well. Mhm.
interact. Thank you. Um, and I think we have some really good topics. Like our overlap are things that are very interesting for like-minded
Absolutely. I
people.
would I would like to add I come from India. You come from originally from Mexico, but then you've lived in UK. You've lived in Germany. I've lived in Germany after coming from India. So yeah, we met at one point, but we have two different perspectives of life, as well as we have a lot in common.
Hmm.
So yeah, for the backstory, we both met on Bumble BFF in 2021, right?
Bumble Business.
Bumble Business, exactly. Bumble Business,
Yeah.
actually, because you wanted to start a new venture with like some, I think, drop shipping or something of your new like idea and your products, and
Hmm.
I could help you a little bit on digital marketing. So that's where we hit up in 2021,
Yeah. And then we
and going really strong. Awesome.
on a first walk to discuss everything and realized like, oh, there's so many more ideas and ways that we could interact.
Exactly. And then I realized that you are so Indian and I am so Mexican.
Yeah.
Because most of the time when people see my surname, they are like, "Oh, are you Mexican? This to Portuguese or was?" I'm like, "No, I'm not Mexican. I'm not Portuguese. I'm Indian. I'm very likely to be Indian, and I am." So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, exactly. And then
it's
we just very quickly became bros.
exactly.
And it's also very special, I think, that we keep touch after all this time because we're both super busy and we've been living in different cities.
Exactly, and with your kind of okay, I'm the 9 to 5 guy who does more of like a job oriented thing with technical stuff.
More like the 6 to
But
11
you,
p.m. guy.
yeah, you teach music to a lot of children. You do a lot of different other hustles. So
Hmm.
with your such flexible lifestyle, it's crazy that we are still so thick in touch.
Yeah,
But I think because people who are like-minded, they stay in touch and they connect, and then they bond over time, and that's basically what happens.
exactly. Yeah.
Perfect.
Um, I lost my train of thought.
So I think with further ado, you can start. The floor is yours. You can.
Yeah, nice.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait, to mention some of the topics that we're going to be covering, just because it's the first episode again.
Perfect.
So we did a
Yeah.
quick brainstorm, and things are still quite vague at the time of recording. We don't even have a name. um, it's kind of fun to say that, even though when it comes out, people will be seeing it with a name and with more clarity.
Exactly.
But definitely, some of our team themes are going to include being an immigrant, being an entrepreneur, or wanting to go that path.
Yeah.
Many different kinds of relationships, friends, family, love, colleagues, and a lot of indirectly talking about mindset in useful ways, things like persistence and resilience, being in control of yourself, and balancing things, being healthy.
Absolutely. Consistency,
Hmm.
productivity. Yeah. How you can keep focus in this world of, in unlimited sources of distraction.
Yeah, and stress. And it's just going to follow us along our journey, which will also include some business topics. That's the other thing. And we're both very big fans of technology. I mean, you're directly involved working in tech and studying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that's been in my past and hopefully my future too.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Let's go.
Okay, cool. So, Varun, um, I was, let's start with this one. What was a turning point in your life that led you to personal growth? You probably have lots, but just like what's the
Nice. Nice.
biggest
Yeah.
first one
Yeah.
that comes to mind?
So I think in terms of like longevity or how I've looked at life, my first hinge or my first switching point was my health. So you know me as like this guy who's doing Mamba mentality on Instagram for more than 75 days, right?
The Kobe life.
But exactly. But now I'm running all these kilometers, I'm cycling a lot and all of this. But when I was young, um, I was basically born like not average, but below average in weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was not that healthy. I used to always go to the hospital. I used to always be at the nursing care or the hospital visits a lot. And like there would be times when they would like poke my arm, the left arm, then the right arm, trying to give me injections, but it wouldn't work because I also had thin veins. I was very fragile and very skinny. So that starting with my health, like from childhood by default, and then I'll talk about that later as well more. But when I was 3.54 years old, there were some personal issues at home, and that's why my mom and dad didn't live together for a
Mm-hmm.
while, and that's when my health also deteriorated even more.
Mm.
So in the younger days, I wasn't this guy who now
Yeah.
who runs a lot, who's so strong and like who can do quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the turning point, I would say, that I understood that my digestion, my psychological, like my psyche in general, my motivation and my daily energy levels, they were like nowhere close to what I would wanted to be. And very at a very young age, I used to watch Cristiano actually,
Mm-hmm.
and that Ronaldo is a very like big part of my mentality. Kobe Bryant is a very big part of my mentality.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to watch these guys and see that like the only one thing which everyone is talking about is hard work and like be out there and try to like do your best. So I used to play a lot of sports, be out, uh, play a lot of different games. Like being an Indian, I would be expected to like cricket a lot, but I was not like the guy best in cricket. Okay, I was good in cricket, but no one cares. I was better. I would say I like football more, basketball more, and I played a lot. And trying to just go to the park, trying to run like 1 kilometer, 1.5 kilometer, 2 kilometer runs were something which was like my top level, my top limit.
Mm-hmm.
Today I've run like maybe 12, 15 kilometers, like chill,
Literally
and then just
10x.
yeah, that's 10x. And that was my turning point actually. So the fact of knowing that I was not that strong, or you can say weak, in my childhood. Plus I was also bullied in school. So when I after I was 4 years old, and my mom took me to Goa, and we lived there. I lived there for 3.5, 4 years. And there in the the kindergarten or the first standard, there I was bullied in that school. So that was in my head as well. And then when I came back to Gujarat, where I was born, then that took a toll on me, and I was like, okay, you bullied me, that was your day, but my day will come. There's I don't think, yeah, if you know anyone, tell me, but I don't think there's anyone now who can bully me. So
Yeah.
yeah, we are.
And was the topics or the content of the bullying also something that affected you, or just the situation of being left
The
out?
situation, but definitely because I was a scrawny kid, because I
Mm.
was skinny, because I was thin, I was lean.
When you
That
still
was
wanted
the
to.
whole center point of bullying. Like you're not going to bully like a heavy 50 kg dude, like, right?
Mm.
If you're in like the second or the third standard. But if you are like a scrawny 15, 20 kg, like skinny dude with like shaky legs, then for sure you're going to be a target. So that was it. Yeah.
Right. And did you have to do something medically or physically to get better, or was it mostly just mindset?
Yeah, so I mean, in general, if you talk about the whole life and not just that point of my childhood, then later on I went on to get therapy. So when I was in the seventh or eighth standard, and that can translate to about 2007 in general. So when I was in the 2007, 2008, that's when I went to get a few therapy sessions, and that's when like I really unlocked the power of my mind, and understood that you can get past things, you can forget things and forgive things, like you can forgive people, and hence help your own situation in your mind, because the main, like, the journey of trauma was mainly that you're caught in a situation. And what the therapist did was basically she made me friends with my younger self, with my, like, so the older Varun went to meet the younger Varun and they talked about his pain. And
Beautiful.
he said, bro, I'm here for you, and we are going to change from this point,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to, hold your hand and be with you. So it's never going to be the same. Don't worry. And that was a point where you did not have any control. You could not help the situation. And that's mostly what all of the kids are facing today, right? That if you are in a painful situation, it's because your parents, the neighbors, the society is putting some sort of pressure or psychological, pain over you. You cannot control it, or you cannot do anything about it. That's exactly what the therapist taught me. And then,
About the reality.
exactly, and then it like flipped a switch, and then yeah, it went crazy.
Amazing. And so, how old were you in 2007 or 8?
2007 or 8. How old?
Mm-hmm.
um I mean, what, I would be like 95. So yeah, 10 and like 12,
Oh.
13 years, 13 years old.
Oh, that is a perfect turning point to start.
Yeah, 13, yeah, 12, 13 years old.
And what was that like in India? Is that accepted and common?
So, like, I would really give credit to my parents for this, because you're 12 years old, right? You're 13 years old. You don't know shit. Like, you don't know that these things exist, or these things can happen. But they understood. They understood my pain. And then there was this lady in Mumbai. So we went to Mumbai. I remember we went to see the Red Fort and all of these things. But those sessions were really important to me. And yeah, that's where it happened. In India, it was at that time, like 2007, 2008. If people didn't really talk about therapy, now mental wellness and mental health is such a big, growing, important issue.
Mm-hmm.
It was always there. It's just that the awareness of the human being has grown and gotten better with time. And at
Mm-hmm.
that point, it wasn't much. It wasn't there. um, but I think also, this therapy, it really is linked to how much you want to accept the solution and the whole situation. Are you
Absolutely.
accepting living in that truth and then saying, yes, I want to get better from this point, and go ballistic? Or you can obviously even resist the change, or resist whatever the people are talking to you, and resist the whole idea of that there is a problem. Even the acceptance of there is a problem, that can take you 3 to 5 or 10 sessions. I don't know, it depends on your resistance.
Mm-hmm.
I clearly knew that I had a problem, because you know what, like, the repercussions, for example, of having trauma was that if I would go in a bus, right, a bus or a car, and my parents, everyone knows this, actually, my brother, all of them know this. So if I go in a car or a bus which is like closed, you have Flixbus, like you have a air conditioned bus, and you just go from one city to another. It takes maybe 3 to 4 hours. I could not stand it. Like, I could not sit in an air conditioned bus
How
at
come?
all. No, because it was so claustrophobic that in 15 to 20 minutes I would start throwing up like a maniac. Like,
Wow.
I couldn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine? I never have a problem today. Like, we've traveled how much,
Yeah,
but
you can deal with anything.
I can deal with anything.
Yeah.
I wasn't that guy. It wasn't me. I had like that issue. Even a air conditioned like BMW SUV. Like, you take the best car,
Yeah.
you put me in that car, and by default I was always near the window seat. But even then, when the cities were changing, so they were non AC buses first in India in 2006, 2007, that time, right? And before. So they were all changing now to air conditioned buses. I did not like that change, because a non-air conditioned bus let me have that fresh air. I wouldn't feel claustrophobic.
Mm.
That trauma and that claustrophobic wouldn't hit me. It wouldn't come.
Yeah.
But if you have a AC bus, like in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, game over. Like, I couldn't hold it more. Yeah.
Wow, crazy. And sorry, how many sessions did you say the therapy was? It was just sort of one long
It was one
process.
session where she just first understood my problems, and I think that was like 2 or 3 sessions, actually, not
Mm-hmm.
just one. And then in total, you can say about 5 to 6 sessions,
Oh, that's very
as
short.
what if I remember. Yeah, 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 for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And those took 1 to 1.5 hour each
Hmm.
in her residence in Mumbai. Yeah.
That's crazy. And then after this express intensive therapy, how long did it take for you to feel fully free and strong through your own work?
That definitely took more 1 2 years actually. and
That's
and
still
like
very fast.
yes, because I had like in my mind I knew that I'm not this, I'm not this guy. Obviously you don't have that kind of understanding when you're young, I'll be honest. Like it's not like you are some like you have 100 years of maturity and knowledge. No, like just a little bit about yourself at that age.
Mm.
But from that little bit I knew that I have a lot of energy,
Mm-hmm.
but that energy was mostly into pent up anger issues.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'll tell you about that. Like I was the craziest kid in the block, like the craziest. Like you cannot imagine the things I've done. Like the glasses and the windows which I broke off the neighbors, that is a different thing. Even in my house, like I've broken windows, glasses, cupboards. I've
Mm-hmm.
I've thrown stuff on the TV. I've done, like, you name it and I've done it. Like easy, easy.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And that kind of, I knew that this thing is going in a wrong way.
Yeah.
And more than me, I think my parents understood it. And then
Absolutely.
when that switch happened, like we can talk about that later, but after a few years, like you'll see like how it switched, and then the growth came in,
Wow, that
because
is,
it was channelized.
yeah. So much respect to your parents that they just knew how what to do, like, because that is, I feel like, probably the best way to deal with it.
Yeah,
They
yeah, for
understood
sure.
this is all coming from something that's unresolved. We need to
Exactly.
address the
And
root
and and to
cause.
be honest, like uh, it was a lot of what was happening at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't entirely not their fault,
Mm-hmm.
but it was at least something which they put forth and tried to solve, which
Mm-hmm.
was then great, because that was the only way to break free, basically.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it could be much worse. It could be much worse, like honestly. And when I was in Goa, I'll tell you, like when I lived in Goa for 4 years, the kind of like guy or mentality which I had was like looking at people, and I could easily be today, a drug dealer or something, easily.
Yeah.
Like it's not out of my imagination to think that, I like before, like in these few years I worked for Tesla and stuff in Berlin, but I could have been a drug dealer. Like my life would be completely different.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. But thankfully that it didn't go that path, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So I think one very big part of that is probably the healing and that it started so early and that it went so deep. But what else do you think started to give you this notion of who you are and like what you say, I'm not that person. I want to be this better person. Like where did that come from?
I had like a few, I had quite a few people you look up to. Like when you're young, what do you have? You basically have role models.
Mm-hmm.
You have this very raw energy, and you have curiosity, I think.
Mm-hmm.
um
Best case
and
scenario.
you don't really know like what you're going to do, and you can't say, oh, like I'm going to, in 10 years I'm going to be this engineer and this, that, and that. Like never. that
Mm.
that is okay, maybe you say it hypothetically, but I won't believe that, because that's not how it is. So at that point I just had this, like, a lot of raw energy, a lot of curiosity. I think innately I was smart, but it had to, like, come out. So one thing was that there weren't many people when I was young, or as my childhood and when I was growing up, there weren't many people who really, truly believe in you.
Mm.
This thing changed later on.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, that switch happens, that when someone believes in you, they put their trust in you, then you are like, okay, dude, we got to prove a point, we got to do something here.
Mm-hmm.
That is one thing. So my school teachers, and like, the later part of my schooling, like after 8th, ninth, 10th standard, at that point, I'll talk about that a little bit more. And so one is like when people put trust in you, that's one turning point where, like, I was like, okay, I need to be better. uh, my brother also was a very big role model for me always, and he still is. So that was a very big thing for me, like that, he was, yeah, he was doing well. He was trying different things in his own way. And he used to deal with all of these things, like, maybe pain, trauma, and challenges. He used to deal with it differently, but I still, yeah, used to respect him a lot for that. So I think, yeah, role models, um, and the fact that, okay, there's someone who put their trust in you. You need to change. You need to switch up. And I think even today, that is mainly my anchor.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere where people are talking to me, or if they've done stuff for me, or if they just say that, hey, I'm counting on you for this. That's
Mm-hmm.
if that one sentence, and then that's it.
So would you say responsibility is like a very strong emotion value for you?
Yeah, I would also add to this, to be very honest, that because the family dynamic was not that clean at home, it wasn't that good, and it wasn't like the most ideal. So I think every kid who's going through troubles at home, they will maybe agree with me partially or fully, and maybe you can also add to this. But you kind of feel responsible as a child, like you're 13, 14 years old, but you kind of feel responsible, honestly, that there is something that I can change in this scenario. There's something
Mm-hmm.
I can do here, and there's something I'm not doing, or I'm not doing enough for my parents, or for the grandparents or whoever, and this is causing so much conflict, this is causing so much trouble for them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's try to do better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's always been a very interesting question to me because it sounds like you went straight into personal responsibility, and you said this situation is caused by all these people, including me. So what can I do to make it better? And I've always wondered what are the factors that decide if a person and a little brain goes this way or goes a different way, like saying I'm the victim, why does this happen to me, and the world sucks, or maybe they get crushed under it, maybe they get angry and they make it worse. And it seems like you were lucky or wise or something enough to take this path of action.
Right. Like what used to happen was that time, I had lived in Goa for a few years. Then I came back to Gujarat, where my hometown is. So on a younger in the younger days, like me and my brother did not gel, or we did not have that much time. I was 3.5 years old, so I don't remember. I don't have memories, and I don't remember shit. Then I went to Goa and I came back, so that was 7.5 was my age then, 8 years old, let's say. So from 8 years old to 14, 15, whatever this time we are talking about right now, this 8 to 14, those 5, 6, 7 years, those were the, you can say, main major years where I actually could spend time with my brother and, like, have like a sibling relationship.
Mm.
So that's when, like, I could see that he also in some ways, like, felt, or at least explained to me as well, that like, we can just do better, and we have to do the best we can do in this situation. There's another poster I remember from his room, and that was basically, like whenever I used to feel funky about something or not, like what you asked, like, the question that, oh, I'm the victim, why should I, like, why should I suffer all this, why am I being put through this? Most of the people think of that. And there was this Muhammad Ali poster in his room, and it was written that, like, train, something like that, like, train today, like, go through the pain today and live the rest of your life as a champion, like the
Mm.
bottom line I remember.
Yeah.
That, and then you can live your yeah, live the rest of your life as a champion. And I think this is a very famous quote from Muhammad Ali as well.
Hmm.
And this, like, was something, which was really anchoring me to be like, okay, I just need to be my best, because my psyche was that if you have people who have troubles at home, right? If they are not getting along with each other, as the child, if you bring a report card and say that, okay, you got really good marks, and that was basically how, like, happiness could be given from my side. There was nothing else I could do. I couldn't earn, right? I couldn't earn at home when I
Mm.
was 14 or 13,
Hmm.
and I couldn't do anything else. So basically, only thing I could do was get some happiness, that, okay, this guy, he plays, he studies, he's very naughty, but his marks are fine.
Hmm.
And that was basically the only thing I could do for
Hmm.
them, and I would try to do that.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Okay. So I was thinking also. Oh yeah, I want to talk about the point you said when people put trust in you, that makes you better. Do you think that's also like a chicken and egg situation? Because people only put trust in you, a lot of people, when they see that you've proven yourself. But if you're not motivated to do that because they don't trust you, then you don't prove yourself. Or do you think like the solution is just to always first trust people and that will let them flourish?
I think it goes both ways. So one thing is that if you are seeing that people are struggling with their motivation and they cannot live up to what you are expecting them to live up to, think yourself that have you put your trust into them? Like, do you completely trust them? Have you allowed them the freedom to do their best? Because most of the time you'll be like, okay, I want you to succeed, but these are the rules, you follow me, like you follow it my way, you do things my way.
I want you, different person, to succeed the way I tell you
Exactly.
to.
I know that you're great, but these are the rules and this is the only way you can do this, and now yeah, do this, and I know you will succeed. But that person has another way of doing it. I was very naughty. I was like very loud, very naughty. Like I was the like the top 5 or the top 3 in the class who are like, anytime they could be detained, anytime there's trouble, you can pick out these 3 names and 99% is one of them. And I was always those top 3, like always, right? So if you have a style of saying that, okay, you have to be the quietest, nicest guy in class and then perform well, there was never a way I was going to perform well. Like, never. I'm never going to do that
Oh,
because
I
that's not
relate
me.
so much.
Exactly. So you got to put your trust in me that, okay, I'm a crazy hooligan, but I will do stuff when I need to,
Yeah,
and then that's the only way I could give results to anyone.
yeah,
Otherwise, not.
absolutely. Yeah, I kind of, I made it one of my many side quests in life to wake people up to this. That it's, especially when someone functions very differently than the average, like in my case with neurodivergence, but also
Yeah,
just in general because we're all unique. You need to, yeah, give people space and the opportunity to get to know them, do things in their own ways. So
exactly.
important.
And I think one more thing which you asked me, that you asked me about, should people first trust you and then only then you can perform,
Hmm.
or would you perform first and because you're performing consistently then people start putting their trust in you, and so on and so on.
Hmm.
So in my situation, or if in my understanding, I wasn't the favorite of the class in my school ever,
Hmm.
for any teacher for that matter. I wasn't even the worst.
Hmm.
So I was, who exactly is this guy? Is too loud, he's too naughty, he keeps doing too much stupid stuff. But the problem is because he also performs, yeah, reasonably well, so we cannot really like take hard action on him. That's it. Like I was that guy. So like pretty above average, uh not super something, but like I would play football, I would do horse riding,
Hmm.
I would play a few other sports and represent the school and blah blah. Apart from the studies,
Hmm.
I was not a topper, or I don't remember me being the top 3 ever. And I would also make fun of like everyone who would like chase 1 or 2 marks for this and that. I'm like, dude, like let's go and play football. Who cares?
Yeah.
So I was that guy, right?
So you always had the Pareto principle in within you.
I am the Pareto. I am
Yeah.
always I'm like, if you check Pareto principle, I'm always a Pareto principle. That, okay, you do this much, you got. So what is the Pareto principle? Nice. The Pareto principle is that you try to focus on 20% of the things to get an 80% output, or you can say that the top 20% things which you can change or which you can affect, which causes 80% of the output or 80% of the of the whole result. That is basically Pareto. So I learned it very deeply in Tesla, actually, that we used to clearly follow Pareto principle, that pick the most highest 20% of the problems, and you try to solve them, because those 20% are going to give you 80% of the results. So if you do that
Oh,
20%,
interesting.
you
I
will get the 80% result, and then you're already at 80%. Now you just have to go from 80 to 100.
Okay, I actually know learned a different definition.
Okay,
So this
let's
is
see.
this is like explaining leverage, right? Picking the most impactful 20%. And the way
Correct,
I
the
learned it,
80/20 rule.
yeah, the way I had it in mind is you only have to do 80% of the work most of the time, because that's good enough. And the last 20 is so hard and helps so little that it's not worth it.
Right,
I
right.
think
Also,
both work.
yeah, also both ways both work. And exactly, I'll prove how I was the Pareto principle. I was never like too deep into 90 percentages or something, like 95, 98. That was not my score. I would not care about it. So
Hmm.
I was like somewhere between 85 to 95, or 80, 82 to 95. I wouldn't like the number 80 because it was too close to 80.
Yeah.
So I was like, I like 82, 83. That sounded good to me. So
In the
82,
safe
because
zone.
8 plus 2 is 10. So it's yeah, it's going somewhere near 10. It's fine. And
Nice.
then I used to like 82, 83 to 90, 95. That was me. I wouldn't care about 100. I don't want 100. Thanks. It's fine.
Yeah. Perfect.
But yeah,
You also always had a mathematical mind, I see.
I loved maths. Always a mathematical mind. Like everything would be like, yeah, this is, yeah, 75%. I want a little more. If it's 81, yeah, I'm happy. Done. And to be honest, like if I know that I'm scoring 85, I will never study more. You cannot make me study more than
Hmm.
85%, like, because I need to play, like, because when I
Right.
play, then I unlock my memory and my potential to actually deliver 85, 88%. So I would be like, okay, 3 hours I solve whatever maths papers or whatever papers, and then 1 hour, 1.5 hour I need to play. And that was the only way. If you put me in a room for 6 hours, and I know a lot of kids who did this, and then you try to make me score above 90, like it's not going to happen,
Not
bro.
gonna
Like you will
happen.
get a 70 out of me because I'll be like, you didn't let me play, right? Now I'll show you what I can do, and then I'll
Exactly.
purposely not write shit.
Yeah. And this can even be different not only between individuals, just remembering in my own life, but also faces or environments. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I see this in so many places for my case. So
exactly.
good. And I was also thinking, let's talk a little bit about the chicken and egg aspect of. So you grew up in an Indian family, and you told me, for example, the grades were one thing that you could use to make your family happy,
Correct.
prove yourself. Did they also have this cliche expectation that you have to become an engineer, doctor, lawyer, one of these big main professions?
Actually, to be honest, no.
Okay.
That is quite a cool thing with like what I have a rapport with my parents or whatever, like
Yeah.
people in the family who try to push you or guide you towards these things.
Hmm.
So it will be like, okay, I'll be happy if you become so and so, but I'm not going to tell you that you have to be only this, or
Hmm.
there's no force to be only this, because it doesn't make any sense in the end. Like if you don't want to be, or you don't have that inclination, then you won't be.
Yeah.
So for example, I don't know if you heard this, but there's Indian Institute of Technology, so IIT, and IIT is one of the most prestigious, like institutes in India, technical institutes, and that's where like the highest cream of engineers are manufactured, produced, whatever you call it. Okay. And basically, my dad had this dream that, okay, he wanted his sons to be study in IIT or go to IIT. So he enrolled my elder brother in IIT, or not in IIT, but like in IIT coaching, basically. So after your 10th grade, you have to prepare for 2 years, and 11th and 12th grade you prepare, and then you appear for this IIT entrance exam. And then if you crack it, that is the entrance exam to go to a university.
Hmm.
Imagine you are studying for at least 2 years, or even before that, much before that. Now kids, I know, they start preparing from 7th, 8th grade to get
Wow.
into this university, these pool of universities.
Hmm.
So that's 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, right? Like there's so many grueling years of just studying, that can change like the whole personality of the kid, right?
And you're starting
Like,
at age 12, I guess, before puberty.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you do IIT, you can, and you come out of IIT at when you're 23, 22, 23, whatever is your age at that point. And basically there's so many years at the back where you've like kind of lost personality development. So a lot of times there are two things which can happen. One is if the kid is so driven and innately smart and wants to do IIT, not like, he wants to build his own business. For example, in my brother's case, he wanted to always be a businessman, or an entrepreneur, and he wanted to have his own business. He was never into the IIT thing,
Mm-hmm.
but my dad put him there. He studied for 2 years. Yeah, he did okay. He didn't get into IIT. He did like plastic engineering for 1 year. Then he went on to something else,
Mm-hmm.
and then he eventually like did BBA, MBA, and he did entrepreneurship. So it happened, but it will happen in a different way, right? So a lot of times I see that the Indian parents, they will tend to, and you tend to, like, naturally, that okay, I have this dream, because at that time, at that in that year was 2010, 2009, 2010 or something. And that was like, even today, but that time it was peaking, that if you are studying in IIT and you're going to that university, it's like crazy. You've like kind of at least conquered the world in India. You've conquered the world of India at least.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get insane packages, as in like north of 50,000 euros, north of 50,000 euros in India, I'm saying. Local currency, INR. So that's more than 50, 60 lakh rupees.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of job packages you would get straight out of university when
Wow.
you are 22, 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That was insane. Like, you can buy, one house would cost, if a small normal 2 3 BHK apartment costs 25 lakhs, you can buy two apartments with that, with an annual salary.
Wow. So even if
like
you
like
just
obviously it's gross salary, so then you have taxes and all. Yeah, I can go into the math, but the point is that was kind of where it would take you.
if you just do
So
basic savings, you can buy it in
exactly,
2 years.
basic savings, and in few years you have your house. So that was like where parents many times tend to, like, have this, their derivative of their dreams get pushed onto or passed on to the children, which is
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. The thing is that it has to be in a different way, that you have to communicate and try to
A
understand that, okay,
conversation.
yeah, a conversation, and see, like, is it clicking in their head, like what is clicking in their head, right?
Mm-hmm.
and
Beautiful.
and like, wherever it's clicking, you push them towards that direction more, 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 and then see how that develops.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really, like, make a finish line, make a start line, and then design a race. You can't do that. But when they are racing, you can maybe, go on your bike, give them water, give them glucose, and say, hey, how's it going? Like, how can I help? You understand me? Like, during a journey, you can be on the side and try to aid them understand their problems, and that's then when you can, like, unlock some potential which is hidden, for example.
Yes, beautiful. And so you also said you always had this fascination for maths. Do you think
Very.
that it could only flourish because you learned to work hard to get good grades, or do you think you would have your curiosity alone would have pulled you through to become something mathematical like an engineer?
So I'll come exactly back to that point which we were talking about. So before my therapy, that was in like fifth or sixth grade. So 2007, 2006, 2007. That was somewhere around when, like, then after that, 2007, 2008. After that, I had my the therapy. So before that, I was like, in maths, I would never like score 95 out of 100 or 99 or 100 or something like that. Right? I was not that crazy good, or I had not that much inclination towards it. So I took therapy 2007. Um, 2008, I changed my school. So from a state run school, or a Gujarati medium, not a Gujarati medium, but Gujarat board basically. It was still an English medium. I did all my education in English language, but it was a Gujarat state board school, Fatima Convent, and then I changed that to Amar Jyoti Saraswati Vidyalaya. So that's AJSV, and it's an international board basically.
Hmm.
So that, like, there, you have different curriculum, you have different level of the schooling, and the level of the questions, the exams, and this switch, what, kind of how we have it in the German education system, that the fundamentals are based and given importance on the understanding level, that how much have you understood. You don't, like, really go remember a paper, and you mug up everything and then you vomit it on the paper and you're done. No.
Hmm.
So you base your fundamentals, you create this whole sphere of understanding, and within that,
Mm-hmm.
you perform.
Yeah.
So that was their base. So that changed. So after my therapy, then that also came in 2008. And I remember in eighth standard, uh, you guess how many marks I scored in like the first, like there were I think two or three unit tests or these internal exams before you have the final exam. So how much marks out of 100 would I have scored in those tests?
Before the therapy.
No, after 2007 was therapy. 2008 I switched my schools, and this is just starting of the schools. First few months, the
Hmm.
first tests basically.
85.
85 out of 100. Okay, good guess. And then the second test,
How much later was that?
they were also spaced in like let's say 2 months. They were spaced by 2 months. So like
Okay.
yeah, the first month and then the third month
Actually,
and
I
fifth.
I can imagine the effect after the therapy being then a dramatic improvement.
Mhm.
So maybe I'm gonna say like first 70 something and then 90.
Okay, that is okay. That's the first and second test. The first test, I scored 8.5 or 8,
Out of
0.
100.
Yeah, zero,
Uh-huh.
8 out of 100.
Wow. Uh-huh.
That is 8%, right?
Yeah.
8 out of 100. The next test I had like 12 or 13 or 14, something like this.
Hmm.
Basically, I didn't cross 20. Then the third test also was, yeah, somewhere around there. It's hard to believe.
Yeah. See, I know you as a completely different person.
Exactly. So and now I'm coming back to that. Should a person like lay his trust in you and then let you do things how you do it, right? So like I'm very fond of this person, and he's my like maths teacher, or basically the guru. Like I learned a lot from him, also like computation, but just general, like general intelligence, I would say, like a lot of intelligence. I just absorbed from
Yeah.
him how much I could. And
Copy
his name is
paste.
Ketan. Yeah, his name is Ketan Kapasi. So Ketan Kapasi was my school teacher, my school maths teacher, and then also he used to run his own tuitions. And this transition was like the hard thing. So I had transitioned from a school where you could memorize things and score easily above 70, to a school where if you only memorize,
Hmm.
then your method of learning, then you can score 50-60% for sure,
Hmm.
but you cannot score above 85, and that's never going to happen,
Hmm.
because you have to apply the fundamentals to get through, right?
Amazing.
And he, like he talked to me quite a few times, not once. And I was like in eighth standard. In the second test which I told you, we had a fist fight. Okay. And like there was this guy who was slightly shorter than me, and we had the fist fight at that level that like we had a few slaps. My cheeks were red. But then it started into boxing bouts, and I boxed him so hard that his nose started bleeding. After 3-4 punches, my nose started bleeding.
Oh man. Hmm.
And that was the 12 or 13 mark paper. I mean, I still love that fist fight. Like, I've never had such a good fight ever again in my life. Hands up, but that was a different thing. So, there was a lot of this pent up anger. Like, I was very angry. As a kid, I was very angry. I've done such stuff in anger that you cannot believe. You've not seen me angry. Have you seen me angry ever in
No,
3.5 years? No.
no, but I always had the feeling that we're both there's like four basic temperaments in psychology, and they have basic emotions, and one of them is anger. And I think that's also why we resonated straight away.
So I was what kind of angry? Like, I don't know if my brother is even today, if he's forgiven me, but a screwdriver, right? So because like he was not giving me the TV remote,
Oh, God. What did you do?
he had a TV, he had a screwdriver into his hands, like maybe 2 centimeter deep.
Oh my God, you Jesus is him.
I I didn't want, I had to. I mean, I don't know, I didn't have to, but I did it. And then he used to punch me
Amazing.
that hard that like I used to vomit in the bathroom sink. Like that was the way we bouted or we
Yeah,
fought.
yeah.
That because he was
Which,
hefty, like he was strong,
yeah.
and I was like, okay, one day I'll make a body like you, then I will also I'll punch you. But today he's like, today you are thin, so you are getting it.
Oh man.
And if we ever can do a podcast with him, you won't understand if Rahul is talking or Varun is talking, because we have the same, like, genetically we look very different, like brothers we look very different.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're on a phone with us, we are same, complete. Like
Interesting.
my father, my mom, everyone has talked to me as Rahul, and they've talked to him as Varun, and they've never known. We've done this. We've tested. It's tested. It's proven. If your parents don't know, no one can
So
know.
you're
Yeah,
audio twins.
powder twins, exactly. And it's so nice. So that was the level of my anger.
So you were very different, and you think you learned from each other so much that that's why you seem
Yeah,
different now.
I don't know how much if he absorbs anything from my side, but I really I've idolized him and I've learned a lot from him.
Mm.
And this anger was what this anger was like the energy sink, like it would sink most of my energy.
Mm-hmm.
So when I learned to channelize the anger, that was like the main part where I could channelize that anger directly into, like, thinking, intelligence, quantum, and then push it out into work, studies, performing. Yeah,
This is so important. Because yeah, I was looking for the right moment to say you're also a high energy person, and our
very.
energies and our minds function so differently, it would seem, but we can get kind of the same results. And so I think this could help people out there, no matter how they function. Is how did you learn to channel your energy?
Very
That's
true.
like the holy grail of so many things.
Yeah. So, like, it sounds really stupid, but even from that young age, like, it wasn't really meditation. I didn't know what I was doing much. But there were points, that when I wouldn't get sleep, I could focus, like, the fan was right up. So in every Indian household, you have a fan in the
Mm,
bedrooms at least. And I could, like, focus on the outer ring of the fan, and then, like, focus so hard that it slowly becomes a small concentric circle, and then it just becomes like a point, like a dot, like, the fan is just like, it's like one object there. And I could focus right until my eyes closed and I slept. That was like a way where I don't know if it's meditation or whatever you call it, but I could, like, really channelize my focus.
mm-hmm,
And that I learned, like, slowly. There was this one blue color, I remember, blue and gray Walkman which I had.
mm-hmm,
And there was some songs. There were even some holy songs, like, from like the hymns, what they call it.
mm-hmm,
So those I used to listen, and I could really, like, focus my I know that I could focus my attention somewhere. Maybe my energy I learned to focus later on, but I could focus my attention. And then coming back to the question of my maths teacher and those marks and what happened. So he used to ask me quite a lot, ke, "Kem tane gusso આવે છે? Why are you so angry? Why are you so pent up energy? Like, what is your problem? Where are you finding difficulty?" He never told me that, uh, I don't trust you. I think you should change your class, or I think you should go back to this state run board, where the education is easier or whatever,
mm-hmm,
where you found it easier and you can manage. He would ask me, "What is stopping you?
mm-hmm,
What's your problem? What are you not understanding? I'll sit with you. Like,
mm-hmm.
I can tell you, I can give you tips." And then, like, I'll tell you the graph now from 8th standard to the end of 10th standard. And this was basically till 7th I was in that state run board, and 8th to 10th standard I studied in this school up to 12th basically. But I'll tell you the graph till 10th, which actually moved. And then after 10th standard, it's never gone down. No one can change that graph now. So there was another factor, and that was the principal of that school.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for me, she's like my second mother basically.
Wow.
Yeah, to be very honest, because later on also in life, that there were some more troubles at home.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the second time when my parents didn't live together.
Mm-hmm.
So that time she was really there for me, and, like, she would just say that, what's the problem, like, I they would never accept that if I have 70 or 60% marks or something. They would say, "Okay, fine, this is just a number, this is just happened on paper or something,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't believe that this is you. So
Mm-hmm.
what's the problem?" And they would, like, just sit with me and say that, "We believe in you, I know that you can do it, your potential is 95.
Wow.
Clear, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Where is the problem?"
Mm-hmm.
So when they used to put that trust in me, those two people, they completely like hinged me. Like they changed. I used to play the same amount of football, same amount of basketball, same amount of everything. But when I used to study, like I would burn a hole in the paper, like so laser focused that I would burn a hole, like that I could, yeah, I could focus. And when I'm focusing, then no crap, like no, I don't want any sounds, I don't want anyone fighting. You guys at home, like you all want to fight, you fight after 8 p.m. or whatever, once the time is done, then I'm fine. Yeah, then you guys can bout it out, but not till then.
Mm-hmm.
And then so 8 standard, 8 marks, 12 marks, 22. And then I finished the year with like 65 or 70, 8 standard.
Mm-hmm.
9 standard, 70, 72, 82, and then I ended it with 85, 88.
And this is across all subjects or just
I'm just saying right now the math,
right?
but in general also, the percentages of what I was scoring was like in 8th standard I scored somewhere 70, 75.
Probably everything trended up to the same
and
way.
and then it just kept blowing up. Yeah. So and then 10th standard was like, this is just the maths.
Mm-hmm.
10th standard was like 80, 85. And then at one point I learned how to unlock more than 85. Like I learned how to unlock everything, like how to put my full focus study. I learned how my brain works, how I can remember things.
What was this switch?
The learning was that, I was just trying different methods, to be honest, like experimenting,
So
that should I wake up and study, should I study and then play. But I found that if I if I just study a small gist, okay, and then I play like for 1.5 hour, that play was, it was a part of the formula. Okay, you cannot
yes.
you cannot tell me that sit, study, and score. No, I will do it my way, but I'll score. So I will play for one, and this 1.5 hour, that was when all the kids were studying. So I was only the dude, like juggling a football, doing some shit, and like being fully sweaty and muddy, and coming home, and people are like, "Bro, you don't have exams or what's up? Like we can't understand what's happening." I'm like, "Ah,
Mm-hmm.
it's good, don't worry, it's fine, it's all good." And then I would come back, revise the same thing, and in the morning I would study again. So just looking through things, and I kind of learned how to create also photographic memory.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you see now whenever we talk, I'll tell you, remember that day we went to the McDonald's, there the third seat we had sit and ate that and that, and you'll be like, bro, that was 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that photographic memory, like that's when I kind of learned how to unlock or do.
Yeah.
And then it went ballistic. Like then 10th standard was like 92, like 95. In the final exam I scored 99. Like I topped my whole
Wow.
class, like 99 out of 100. And my teacher was like so mad at me that he said that you have to score 100. Like why did you miss 1 mark, because he knew that it was possible. And it was his, like kind of his hall of fame, you can call it his hall of fame, that in 12th standard, like the kids, like whoever scored 100 out of 100 in maths, that was his like pride for his life. So I
Mhm.
always wanted to be in his Hall of Fame, not for me, but for him. That he has one more dude up there on his Hall of Fame. So in 12th, I did 99 out of 100, but basically that was the journey of how, like I unlocked it.
So
I
beautiful.
had to forgive a lot of people for a lot of, like, stupid and bad things.
Yeah.
And then when all of that weight went away from my mind, all of that, hatred, all of that weight, I shed off, and I let it be that, okay, I'm done with you, and you're forgiven, and you go, like, you're safe and sorry. Then
Hmm.
it was game changing. It was game over.
Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure your life will be a hall of fame for your teacher anyway, because he did so much for you.
Yeah, absolutely. His, like Ketan Kapasi and Seema ma'am, those two people are like really gems. Like they kind of, yeah, they shaped a lot of the younger years.
Hmm.
And then in college, I was like pretty chill. I would not study and score 85, and I would never care, because I knew that
Because you mastered
I'm not studying
attention.
for more. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, they also say sometimes that memory is attention. So if you learn to have this laser focus as you go through life, then everything stays, even
Yeah.
the details.
And that's how I fell in love with maths, because I used to basically romance it the most.
Hmm.
So that became my favorite, actually. Yeah.
It's a good choice too, because it's so transferable.
Yeah, it's applicable everywhere in life. And like now, anything I need, I want to do, my finances. any decision, like you apply maths, it makes it so easy.
Hmm. Well, that's such a great story, and makes my heart very happy as a teacher, in always in development. When and also having had similar experiences when I hear about teachers that just do things right, and they don't have to be the perfect people. They just have to do these one or two very important things,
Yeah,
and it can change a life.
exactly. It can completely transform you. I think like the teachers of today, tomorrow, or yesterday, like they have the most power and the most people put a responsibility in their hands, but they have, as human beings, they have the most power to change someone from the streets right up to gold. Like definitely, I would say that.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
so a lot of what we've been talking about is like process and yeah, essentially just day by day improving the way you work and
Improving and how the mind works. Yeah, I
yeah.
also regard that to consistency. So I'm not saying that I would just study for 2 hours and play for 1 hour and I would get everything I wanted.
Mm,
I like for maths, for example, to get that perfection, the same, like it was basically mamba mentality but a mini version basically. So
hmm.
I
Yeah.
used to solve, I remember I've solved around 40, 50 odd papers, the full exam paper, like 50 papers of those
Hmm.
in the last 2 or 3 months during before the exams. That's where I unlocked the perfection. Like 95 was, I can score 92, 95 in my sleep, but
Hmm.
after that, when you want to go from 95%,
Pareto once again. Yeah.
exactly,
That's the
Pareto,
hardest.
to 100, the hardest, there you have to put in the hours, put in the hours, put in the hours. They'll be like very minute,
Hmm.
very, very small changes.
Hmm.
Even when I run today, like when I started, like I'll go up to 2K, 2.5K, let's say, and then from 2.5K, okay, 3K unlocks easier, then 4K, okay, it's slightly harder to unlock 4K, 5K is even more harder. But after 5K, if you want to go there, there's even more, like resistance and
Hmm.
you know like blockage from the mind and the body as well, that like why is it necessary to go above 5K, like why are we doing this, why are we just running, like why do we want to post 6K, why do we want to post 7K, it's fine if you do 5.5.
Hmm.
So like there you get like very minor updations or improvements after a certain point. And
Yeah.
the only way to keep getting better is consistency. There's no
Hmm.
there's
That's
definitely no.
actually a great analogy with running because then you can see in order to cover more distance, you need maybe a faster pace and also longer endurance. And so what seems like a small change, you're actually covering so much more ground in a
Exactly.
and functioning so much more internally. So it looks small, but it's not at the end, like the top. Yeah.
Exactly. So once you want to go from 5.5 to 6.5K, if you are really maxing out at 5.5, if you're like having heavy breathing, your shins are hurting, your legs are hurting, your heels, your ankles can't take it anymore. Then to reach 6.5, you can't just every week increase 1K.
Mm.
When you go from 2 to 3, you can do that in next week, you can go to 3K. After 15 days, you can go to 4K. But then if you keep doing this exponentially and you tell me the rate of change is 1 week 1K, then in 15 weeks I can reach 15 or 20K, right?
Mm. Not
But I
necessarily.
cannot.
Hmm.
Exactly. Because then your delta keeps getting smaller and
Hmm.
smaller and smaller and smaller. So you add 300 meters and 400 meters and like 400, then 300, then once you're at 7K, you add like 200 meters and you do 7.2, and then you know that you've done better than yesterday.
Hmm.
But if someone looks at the app, they are still going to read, okay, you ran a 7K, right?
Hmm.
They are not going to read anything else. But you see the minute details.
Yeah. I also used
Only
to be
you
a
can.
I was
Yeah,
also a maths nerd child, and one of my biggest mind shifts or takeaways from that was realizing how linearly we think, and but also how it's not natural. I think a study showed that children tend to think more exponentially, logarithmically, and then it gets lost.
yeah,
And
it gets lost and
but so
quite
many,
linear in the later ages for sure.
yeah, and so many things about reality and even ourselves are exponential or logarithmic. But
Absolutely. Like our intelligence, I would say, the way we learn things. If you are consistent, you don't know like how good or how far you can take your body. Like you have no idea, because
Mm-hmm.
I have been doing this for 75 days consistently, or even more actually. To be honest, like what I post on Instagram, I'm right now, I'm trailing behind 7 days. So I've done even more 7 days of grueling workout, but it's not posted. That's why it's
Mm-hmm.
at 75 right now. But the thing is that, like, if you keep yourself, that's the, if you'll ask me what is your main learning, like how can you navigate engineering, how did you navigate like hard days at Tesla, how can you navigate like hard days when you switch schools and you had no idea how to adapt,
Mm-hmm.
how did you navigate from India to Germany? The only thing I'll say is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you tell me that, oh, you speak such good German, and you've heard like so many Germans
Mm-hmm.
telling me that, oh, you speak very good German, how
Totally.
did I do that? Consistency. Like I kept going in the place where I don't like to go.
Mm-hmm.
I kept going in my non-comfort zone, out of my comfort zone every day, and keep trying to talk to people, keep trying to
Yeah.
do something which I can't do, keep trying to search on Google, how can I solve this problem for the
I think that's
production line. And
there's one detail I just want to highlight, which is it's become very popular now to talk about comfort zone, but people just see it as like this circle, and just going outside of it anywhere in any way is gonna be super helpful. But I think it's very important to find the specific uh, key thing that you need to face. So how do you find
exactly.
that?
See, I'll give you an example. You can go out of your comfort zone by walking up to a beautiful woman in a cafe and trying to strike a conversation with her with your broken German and try to learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how often can you do that?
Mm.
Once a day, maybe twice a day, max. How often do you commute from home to work, and from work back? You commute
Sometimes a
twice
week.
a day, exactly. So that's 5 times a week, and twice a day. That's 10 times a week minimum. If there is no change in your transfer, you can change from a bus to a train and then go down to your job, or you can go from a bus to a train to a tram and then go to your work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now instead of like 10 times a week, I have like three more times the chance to, you know, talk to people on this journey. What I used to do is, from the time I put my set foot out of my house, I would decide that, okay, now we switch to German and that's it. Only when I come back home, I'm
Mm-hmm.
allowed. I will speak in English, but there are certain cases. So when I go out, I'll ask him the directions. Okay, are you going to this Strasse, this place? I know that the bus is going there,
Mm-hmm.
but every day I'll practice that, because you know why? There is a different driver. He's not going to be mind if I ask him.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care.
Practice.
So I would ask that question: that are you going to this place? Yes. Then go there.
Mm-hmm.
Then ask them that, ask another person in the bus, how many stops later is this Strasse, or whatever. Like, I'm just giving you examples. It's not the same thing you ask every day,
Yeah.
but you just make random conversation with random people in
Mm-hmm.
your broken German.
But relating to the goal of learning German, right?
Exactly.
Specific.
They don't know it, right? And they don't care.
Yeah.
They are just going to say, ja, also nach drei Stationen kannst du austauschen oder
Yeah.
rausgehen or something like that. And I'll be like, okay, fine. And then I learn and learn and learn from them. And then because I'm hearing their response. So
Mm-hmm.
when someone asks me, when can I get down? I already know a sentence. I have to just use the same. Where does my I don't have an accent. So where does my accent in German come from? From the Germans. I learned it from them, so I pronounce it like them.
Mm-hmm.
Easy.
True. Yeah.
And people, most of the people don't have an accent in German, because I don't know, they learned it another way. But I learned it from the things I heard them exactly saying. I use that accent, so that's why I have an accent in German.
Mm-hmm.
And when I speak other languages, I don't have the accent, because it doesn't, that's not how I learned.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Yeah.
Right. And those small delta changes, like in the first year of Germany, I didn't know. I was like A2 level. So there are CEFR levels basically of every language:
Mm-hmm.
A1, A2, B1, B2, and C1, C2.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like at the A2 level or the second level. And then gradually now in the third, fourth year, I reached B2 or the fourth level.
Mm-hmm.
But that's literally by, yeah, talking to these people and just,
Yeah.
just making yourself uncomfortable every day for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
How much does it cost? Nothing.
And would you be happy with a life where you just don't have to do anything? You have all the abundance and you can just chill and relax. I know your answer, but I
uh,
want to hear the explanation.
you know the yeah, exactly, you know the answer. I think that's what you said. But you, as you know me as a person, I cannot live that life because I need like something to move forward. So you can surely take me to Miami Beach and we have a few, capybaras, and we have a few like nice cocktails and like, pina coladas, and we are done surfing in the beach. But then after 7 days, I'll be like, okay, bro, so what's the next plan? Like,
Yeah.
what are we building? What are we doing? Right? For sure. That's how my brain functions, and that's how I don't even understand like retirement. For example, if you say retirement, okay, it can be retirement from a small part of a journey, like what I'm doing. Maybe I retire from engineering and I do something else.
Hmm.
I build a startup, and once you have two successful startups, I become a VC, like a venture capitalist, and then something else and something else.
Hmm.
But I don't understand the concept of retirement. So that basically answers it, that I can't like, there is no I don't have a gatekeeping that, okay, I have 100K in my bank account, 100K euros, and then I'll just earn for my dividends and I'll chill, because there's nothing which I would do. So like my goals were, do the Olympic triathlon. So in cycling and in running, I already hit the Olympic triathlon numbers, and I still have to do it for swimming. But if
Wow.
if you if you talk about, yeah, cycling and running, I already hit those numbers. So that much I've already done. And directly the next day, even before the gym, I was thinking, okay, how can I hit a half Ironman already? Like I was thinking about the half Ironman,
And which part of all of this constant growth is what gives you the joy?
the journey.
And can you say differently or more specifically? Like in everyday life,
Right.
which moments, which actions are like this feeling?
That when you do something, one is like, I set mental goals, like for most of the things, that okay, financially I want to be here,
Hmm.
at work I want to be at this level, or I want to not like this position. I don't want to be like I'm already a mid senior level guy, but I'm not like I want to be this position, not exactly that, but it will be okay, I want to achieve this is my accomplished, like these are my to do's.
Hmm.
So when I hit like tuck 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 on my to dos, that's when I feel accomplished and I feel okay, I had good for my day.
And then you go
And
play.
yeah, and then I go play, and my play is also hit a 6K run and a 7K and a 8K. That's my play. But
But not
basically,
only, right? You also do just
yeah,
fine.
basically even that, like the play is also growing slowly, exponentially, and like bigger and bigger goals are coming into the fitness space. So I would say that, um, if I don't have those small deltas and like those small improvements, then I wouldn't see myself going anywhere, and then like life stagnates. And I think I'm very young. Like although I'm 29, nearing 30 years of age, I feel 24, 20,
Hmm.
25 at max biologically.
Yeah, can relate to
Like
that. And so, with all of this, how do you still make space to have friends, go partying, go visit a new city, have a girlfriend? How do you
yeah.
balance all of that?
I think like balance is the best and most needed thing you can learn in life, right? With time, that okay, when I was like this, all this school age up to my bachelor's, you don't ever have responsibility of like taking care of your family, sending money back home, this that, or to your parents. Or like, okay, if you're in a committed relationship as well, like you have mostly the partner beside you. I'm in a long distance, right? So you have your partner beside you, and you're like, right, that is basically she's there, and there's much easier like way to commit yourself, to give time. So I think as you grow up, you're going to always, like by design, the responsibility is going to grow. Your things which you need to do are going to grow. Your circle of life, and like the people who need your shoulder for them, it's going to grow, and you're going to be a balance and a support for more and more and more people as you grow every day. So the way to learn balance is like you try to do two things, uh, and communicate that okay, this is getting into my space, I cannot take so much load, so much effort. reduce it
Hmm.
10%, reduce it 15-20%, and let me have that transition where I can transit from one responsibility to two, and from two to three, and three to four,
Hmm.
and slowly allow yourself to take more and more responsibility.
Hmm.
I think at a very young age, like the second time when my mom was not home, she was not home for like 6, 7, 8 years before my brother changed things around, and then he, like, he got a nice house, and then we brought her back and all that, and now like things are different. Like we have a good relationship. So the second time when she was not there, I learned how to cook, I learned how to pack my bags, I learned how to everything. Like then I literally burst into from this, like, adolescent kid guy to almost like a grown up who's not yet
Hmm.
earning money. So in my bachelor's, in my university, when I was 18, 20 years old, that time I already knew to cook, I knew to pack my bags, I knew to iron my clothes, I knew to polish my shoes, wash the dishes, everything. Whatever those check boxes. And when I came to Germany, it was just another day for me. Like people were like, oh, how can I cook, how to make biryani, how to do this, how to do that. It was just for me, it was like, yeah, what do you mean, like, how, what do you mean how to do, like, this is how you do it,
Yeah, so
right?
lucky
And
to have learned that early.
yeah, and that stuff, it was taught to me early, I learned it early basically. And it just, so that responsibility grew, right? It grew that from someone doing it for me, I had to do it for my own. And if I had that skill, it's not really a weight for you. But if you didn't have that skill, then you're going to suffer for 2, 3 years. You're just going to learn how to boil rice.
Yeah, and
So
another
yeah.
thing that comes to mind that could really help people is you're talking about all of this growing. You're setting yourself always higher goals in all these different areas. How do you make sure that things don't get too much at some point? How do you keep checking in with yourself and your body and everything?
The exact thing which you asked me, that how do you go to new cities, how do you keep partying, meet new friends, that is my escape route to make sure that everything is not too much. By doing that, then I unlock, I release, I let the fumes out, let the steam out. And once I'm done with that, like for example, when I go to Hamburg, or I go to Berlin, I meet my boys, I meet the friends, like we went to the Spain road trip. That's when I'm letting steam out, I unlock. And then when you come back, you're refreshed, you're good, and you're ready to take even more.
Hmm. And do you then find that you have to go back and restart in some way with things like habits and exercise?
My mind, right, like I'll be off the charts for like 7 days, but the eighth day, as soon as I switch. Definitely, no one likes to work out every day, no one likes to meditate every day or listen to audiobooks every day. Like the hard, repetitive, boring things, you don't like to do it every day. And it's completely human. Even I don't like to do it every day, but you have to do it, because that's the only way where you go back to that consistency which we talked about.
So even if you're on a week-long trip, there's some of habits that you still do those days.
Yeah, I do those days, I do a few push-ups and stuff.
Hmm.
Definitely in trips, like you're chilling with friends, you're having beers, you're playing ping pong at night or whatever, and you miss your workouts, which happens, I agree. um
But that's
like
fine. Yeah.
yeah, I think Kobe wouldn't be that happy with me, or like he wouldn't respect me for like missing workouts, because he would do it like at another crazy level. But at my human level, okay, it gets missed. But the thing is, you have to understand and accept that okay, some days I will falter, I will have a cheat meal, I will cheat on these things, and then you come back to it.
And
But
then,
if I've run a 5K at best, and then when I come back from vacation, naturally I'm going to run up to 3.5. You cannot do the same, right? But then you come back, and then you slowly just go back up there. The
yeah.
best thing about consistency is that the more time you allow between these two, or the more you letharge yourself and let that time pass, the harder it is to come back, because it's like a battery. So it's going from 75 to 70, 25, and then to bring it back, you have to charge it, and it will charge only slowly. You cannot go right back up. So
Hmm.
it's your choice. If you miss too much and you're not consistent with whatever you promised yourself about, financially you'll invest every month, or if you'll run so and so, or if you'll do this and that, and if you don't do it, then consistency, to bring it back, it's very hard. So the easiest thing is never miss. If
Hmm.
you never miss, you never get discharged. Simple.
Yeah, and also not maybe the most holistic or sustainable, because the question is, what is your goal for your life as a whole, right? Not just for the specific tracks.
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
That's true.
Would you be able to say more or less um, what the success or a life well lived look like for you?
For me, a life well lived, I would say even today, if you suddenly take me off the face of this earth, uh, the one thing I want is that people remember me for good things, like, and I've read this somewhere and I really believe it. I live by it actually, that um, the thing that people will remember the most about you is not like what you bought for them, not what you gave them, not the money, not the gold. They'll remember how you made them feel.
Hmm. I like
And
that.
that's what I live by. That I was helped in education by someone, and I was helped in education by kind or by resource or by money, and by cash or kind, and I will do the same. So that's why I educate the children in India. That's why I educate these kids, because I believe that that is a very strong tool, and even if they don't know me by face, I know how I make them feel. I know it because I was also deprived of education at one point, right? So
Hmm.
before I came to Germany, my loans were not getting passed. Like I was an engineer. I was earning not good, but I was earning fine. And before I came here, and for 1 year, I just was struggling for 1 year to get some loans or some kind of funding to come here, because I just could not. Like 10 lakhs, 11 lakhs at that point was too much money. It was too much money,
Yeah, it
and I
is
had never seen that kind of money in my life. Now, if you tell me in a few months, I can stack that up money for you. So
nice.
that's the change, And now that I have those kind of resources, I will definitely give back. So how my like life would be is that I explore the world as much as I can. I have never, like, even when I was young, even before I didn't see the world, before I didn't come to Europe, I never used to judge people. So never have judgments. Be open and try to absorb or understand the world without having your bias on it. So I see, like, it hurts me, it saddens me a lot, but I see a lot of like religious extremism in India. Like, a lot of people do it,
Hmm.
right? And so much hate which is spreading just due to religion. But you have to, like, sit back and first understand where that person is coming from, and try to make a conversation before trying to make a controversy.
That's a
So
good phrase. It's catchy.
exactly. Only if you make a conversation before you make a controversy, then you are going towards a productive, like, understanding kind of path, where two human beings can meet somewhere. Otherwise, you are just creating trouble for everyone. So,
Hmm. We need
yeah,
to put that on the t-shirts you were going to help me with. Combo before control.
that's, yeah, convo before contro. Exactly. And that's something I really believe in. Like, I want to make people feel good. My siblings, my younger sisters, and my younger brothers, like, I hope at least that, because I know who the elder brothers are for me, right? Or the elder siblings are for me, and I make them feel the same, that okay, I never judge you. And I'm not saying it like I never judge you or on paper, but then I sit on the side and actually judge you. No, I actually don't judge you. You do something, you have to see the repercussions of it. You have to see what is coming back as as a life learning, and you have to try to absorb it.
Hmm.
If you don't learn from your mistakes and you do it, like, repeatedly, 5 10 times, then you're a chutia basically. So, so you have to learn
I was
and
gonna
adapt.
say I was gonna say my Indian word that I know, but I don't know if it's appropriate.
Yeah, I think the B word, the BC, becomes a little bit too much, so I
Okay,
just
that's what I thought.
the C. And so yeah, how I make people feel. No judgment. Listen, like, listen. I listen. Right now in my work, maybe I speak the least. I just listen. I'm absorbing what they're doing. And only if you don't know, right, what's happening, if you don't know the surrounding, if you don't know the environment, you don't know the people, you don't know their motivation, how are you going to contribute?
Yeah. Exactly.
So I
That's
make
something
very
that frustrates me so much about business context is you have to be the loudest, like gorillas in a ring. And usually the smartest person in the room is the one listening and observing the most.
exactly. So
Such a contradiction.
one of my founders from the previous Indian company, he taught me that, like, even if you're the dumbest in the room, you learn from the smartest people. Just listen, behave as dumb as you can, listen, absorb, then contemplate, analyze yourself, and when you give out your solution, it will definitely be something better than what your empty brain would, generate. Because now it's full with some information. You can use more data points, you can use a lot of more understanding, and give much more a better answer, or a better understanding of whatever you want to give. So yeah, I think these are the few things, like, which make my life complete, at least that my friends, my family, people around me are happy when they see me, or they, write to me or think of me. They think happy. Like, you literally are that guy. Like, you'd be like, bro, we need to party, we need to, that's how you or me define Varun, and that's whom I want to be. I think
Yeah, and
that makes my life complete.
yeah, I love both sides of the coin. We could get together and like I could trust you to do a podcast. You're the first person where I think like, yeah, okay, this could actually work.
Exactly.
We could also maybe start a business together one day, or we can just say, let's get stupid tonight and
Yeah.
not care
Yeah.
about anything.
And there you see that I'll switch off everything else.
Yeah.
No maths, no engineer. I'll just be a chutia. Done. So, and
Yeah.
that's me. That's how
And
my life
also
is going to
about
be.
the no judgment, I really have to praise you there because when we were getting to know each other, I was like, oh damn, this guy is so focused. He's like a high achiever. I don't know if there's gonna be space in your life for someone like me if you're gonna judge me because like I said, I'm more like a generalist,
Yeah.
going through a lot of self discovery and stuff. And you always took the time to listen. And even when I kept doing things in a way that for you was maybe stupid 5, 10 times, you would still just ask me, but why? What's your motivation? And we would talk through it and walk through it. And then you just learn to know, okay, then that's this guy. I'll take it. And so
Exactly.
respectful. That's how we could build a friendship.
Yeah, that's how, because I have to allow you to be you. I cannot
Exactly.
say that I'm making friends with Yohar, who, like, who thinks only in this manner, who does this only this way and that way. And
Hmm.
if that's not going to work out, then this is not working out between us, because I have to just let you be yourself,
Hmm.
let it be on the plate, and develop as it has to, right? And just observe. Yeah.
Like people who get into a partnership trying to change the other person. Not good.
Yeah, that's the worst shit, bro. That's the worst shit. That's not happening.
And yet,
And people even in my relationship, they've tried to change me. I'll just tell you a funny thing. Before a few years, so, like, not from my current relationship, from one of those before. So she asked me, like, basically, it's like a car which costs about 10,000 euros, or 10 lakhs. So she was like that, okay, in a few years you are going to, because I just got a new job and this and that. So in a few years you are going to able to afford something like a Suzuki, like a car, like a Suzuki car. I don't know if you know Suzuki or Nissan, let's say Volkswagen for the German reference. So you can afford a Volkswagen Golf, right? Why do you keep dreaming about a BMW or a Mercedes?
branding.
Yeah, that was okay, branding, right?
But
But
qualitative. Yeah.
yeah, mine was like, because I am the best, like I deserve the best. Then you also, now we've talked about it after I worked at Tesla, and you asked me, like, is like Merc and BMW anytime on your list? And I'm like, no, bro, those are normal cars, right? So
Mhm.
with time, I have definitely changed my reference of what is the best for me.
What,
Today,
what
if you'll ask
what is
me,
it now?
I think it's a Porsche, or it's a very specific Tesla Model S Plaid P1000D. So
Nice.
100D, sorry, P100D. So Tesla Model Y, Tesla Model S P100D, or a Porsche Cayenne, or, like,
So even
it's
higher.
gotten specific, but it's very, yeah, it's much higher. It's much higher. And I'm proud of that, because if I would keep myself in that situation, then I would always be a Volkswagen Golf,
Interesting. Would you
right?
say that this is a form of self care?
I would call it self improvement, or At least this is me. Like this is basically defining me. I can own a Harley Davidson today, right? But I don't own a Harley Davidson. I don't have a bike. I will get one at some point, rental or whatever. But underlying my dream, I will assess the financial situation, that okay, does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why I don't have it. But that doesn't mean my aspiration is small. I
Mm-hmm.
can own any Indian car I want today, but my aspiration is not small. I will not own it. Not happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
But
that's the whole point.
I mean, because we've talked a lot about growing yourself internally as a person and also giving back a lot to other people and stuff. But then when it comes to something like this, like having exactly the kind of toy that you want, isn't that like treating yourself, like a pat on the back?
Yeah, for sure. But before I have a 10,000 euro bike, I
Mm.
want 50,000 euros in stocks. So
Right.
that's my mentality.
Okay,
And
so the vehicle is an indicator of what you've achieved somewhere else.
exactly.
Right.
And it's an indicator for me.
Yeah.
I might have 200K in my bank, but you will see me in like a shitty golf all my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can go on the racetrack and rent a BMW and drift it if I want, but I won't buy it.
So it's a promise to yourself.
Yeah, it's just I treat myself in ways which I like, but I don't take stupid financial decisions. Like for me, it's a difference.
Absolutely. Same.
Yeah.
Yes. I going through a rough patch. I've been eating McDonald's using the new coupons they have, so it's for free. And I know that McDonald's is just gonna mess me up completely, but it's free, so let's eat it
Yeah,
until the points are gone. That's
absolutely.
also somewhere we
True.
relate a lot. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh man, this has been such a journey, and
This has been great.
I
How
love.
how much how much did you know about me, and how much have you learned about me after this podcast?
Well, I found it really cool, funny, interesting that we ended up talking about a lot of topics and more abstract things anyway, because that's just like in our DNA.
Exactly. That's
And
that's where we are going to gravitate anyhow. Yeah.
yeah, and not so much about like your biography or anything like that, but
Correct. Yeah. I
um,
think I gave quite a deep biography,
I
and I let it loose. I was very
yeah,
honest,
I
very honest.
definitely learned a lot about your emotional past and your family. That's
Exactly.
it's also really brave to open up like that in public.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No one can
Respect.
do it with a smile. I don't know people who can do it with a smile. They like, because I used to tear up, and I used to feel really bad about it. But after I've digested it, and now it's like a part of, like it's like how I'm talking about bikes and cars. I can talk about my past.
Hmm.
Pretty chill. Yeah.
Water under the bridge. Wow. Um, how do you feel after the whole conversation? Was
Yeah,
there?
it was great. I had no like close to nowhere these kind of expectations that it would turn out this good or this enlightening, but it was really fun. Yeah. And I
Nice.
think we talked from dusk till dawn, so it's now
Yeah, I
uh,
can tell.
yeah, yeah, going towards sunset, but it was really fun. Like I loved it. Yeah. I
Oh,
hope I gave you some nuggets of, I don't know, wisdom or learning or some things what I took
so
up on
many.
the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really, really looking forward to hopefully hear some feedback from listeners.
Yeah, exactly. I also want to hear what people say, because I've talked about very few things in very short bits in my life, but
Hmm.
I've never really like opened up like this ever, or not this kind
Oh,
of a
wow.
long proper conversation where you touch so many topics. Never.
What an
So
honor.
it's really an honor. It's an honor for me actually that I got this platform to be able to talk about it. And yeah, I want people to not glorify me or know me for anything, but more like try to absorb and learn if they can from my journey, and that would be
Yes.
a pleasure in itself.
That's exactly, yeah, my whole thing too. That's where we line up as well.
Exactly.
And it's hard for people to believe this kind of presenting oneself to the world just automatically looks to them like arrogance or ego or whatever. But I mean, where have we learned the most? It's from others. So why not let them also learn from us because we're living?
Exactly. I've picked up a lot from others, a lot, and like that's the same thing I also want to give out there, that there's a few nuggets of things I've learned in life. There's a lot more I will learn, but as I'm learning, I know that because you're learning so much and you're changing every day, you cannot put everything in a book when you're 99 years old, because you don't even know if you're living that long.
Yeah,
So as I learn, I just want to put it out there. And
exactly. Yeah, and before we forget most of it,
exactly, yeah, yeah.
I also think it's very valuable to show um, maybe younger men and other men that we can also talk about everything and our feelings and therapy
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
all
That's
things.
that's that's one that's one thing I see, that a lot of people, even including my siblings, they are quite different. Where you don't you cannot express yourself that much, or people really tend to pent up and close themselves down, like close like a clam when there are stressful situations, or
Hmm.
not communicate, and that really affects quality of life in your relationships. Because you don't let it out, it affects you the most, because you are you're like a landfill. So
Hmm.
like a person who doesn't let go, he's a landfill, a landfill of thoughts, a landfill of emotions.
Yes.
And you are trying to be this clean air above Paris, like where people come under the twilight and watch Eiffel Tower, but you are a landfill. How can you be that twilight? You cannot. So you have to clean up yourself first.
Hmm.
That's the only way. That's the
Start
only way.
with the man in the mirror.
Exactly. And the man in the mirror is the only man who's stopping you, or who's letting you move forward. If you As soon as you clean the mirror, and as soon as you clean the landfill inside that man, boom.
Yeah, and that's coming from us who have actually experienced very strong external limitations. We're not the most privileged. Yeah, and so it's not about. Yeah, I think it's just very important to not just say anyone can do anything, but to say
No,
you can always
absolutely.
keep pushing yourself further and further, no
Yeah,
matter
and
where you
find
started.
and find ways where you are good, make yourself better, and find ways what makes you happy, make yourself happy,
Exactly, and this is
and
why
then keep progressing, keep progressing.
that's why I'm so excited with this project and a lot of the other things I'm doing, which is to uh, yeah, show how hard things can be in reality and
Yeah,
how you can keep pushing through. Exactly.
exactly. That's true.
This is so beautiful.
Beautiful.
I'm so
This was
inspired
beautiful.
and
Yeah.
moved and excited and like so good.
Nice. I really love that we committed to a Sunday and doing a podcast and releasing the first one, and here we are.
Yeah.
So 1.5 hours of official first footage. That's it.
Yes, I think that's a really nice organic length too. And
Yeah,
it'll probably vary. Maybe some will be really short, some will be even longer.
exactly. It depends on whom we bring on the podcast, what we talk about, but definitely people can expect a lot on like self-help, on learning, on whomever we bring on the show, and whatever we talk about. I think it's going to be organically learning from their experience, learning from
Yes.
their lives, how they navigated their challenges, what did they do differently, what separates the resilient from the non-resilient, and the successful from the non-successful.
And the most exciting thing is with because this isn't based on like hard knowledge, but it's more like personal learning. And then
Exactly.
the more we live, the better this will get. And it's kind of like an investment too. The further we
Yeah,
get in life, the more people can learn from us.
exactly. And hopefully few people are inspired, and a few people learn something from this, like even maybe one or two people, if they learn something from today's episode, that would be
Mhm.
amazing and absolute honor. Yeah.
And the more that listeners also help us to grow the platform, then maybe we can get guests who are way further ahead than us. And then
Exactly,
we
because
learn from them.
there's no way we both, just by recording stuff, are going to make it to the moon. So
Hmm.
if people support, if they tell us what we can do better, what we
Hmm.
can change,
Which
right?
people they want to have
Feedback.
as a guest.
Exactly. So taking feedback, I'll tell you, like, all my managers in all of my companies, like the first second week, I'll be like, give me feedback, chill about it, don't
Yeah.
worry, no one's taking it negative, I'm not going to take it personal. And then the kind of feedback I get is amazing. Like, they'll just tell me the problem right out on my nose and
Yes.
be like, okay, this is how we want it, and done. Boom.
Yes. Absolutely. I wish
When you make,
people did that
yeah, when you
more.
make someone's life better, it can be your manager, it can be your parents, it can be your partner,
Hmm.
then automatically that whole relationship as a whole, it flourishes.
Yeah, that's I think also one of the Tony Robbins things. It's like loving is saying, "What can I give you? What can I do for you?
Exactly. What
How
can I
can I
do for
make
you?
your life better?"
That's literally what I do all my time for my parents, for my partner, for the
Yeah,
kids in India, everything. Like, what can I do for them?
yeah,
Let's think. Let's try to make it
and
happen. Once I make it happen, done.
and at the same time, the reason why it can be healthy and balanced, like with you, is because you also look after yourself, and they also give back to you, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, great.
And even when you are a grateful human being by design, even the smallest things done for you, you can acknowledge them, you can see them, and you can, love it. You can absorb it. Otherwise, there are people, if you're ungrateful, you can be given as much as the world has, but you will just not find it enough. You'll be like, no, this is not enough for me, I deserve more.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
all right,
Oh,
lovely.
we could just keep talking for hours, but let's
Yeah,
save
I
it
think
for future episodes.
exactly. I think this was a good one, really good one.
Definitely. Thank you so much. It's so brave
Thank you so much
and
for
wise.
your time and the, yeah, opportunity. And let's
Well,
get this stuff
we're
off
creating
the
this
table.
opportunity together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, bro.
But today, as you were the host, it
Ah,
was,
right.
yeah, it was offered from your side.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Have a nice evening then, and
Okay,
thanks a lot.
let's time to stop the recording. Uh,